Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're starting with something that honestly might make you rethink things a bit.
Mm.
What if the biggest hurdle in weight loss isn't really about what you eat or, even how much, but maybe it's about your relationship with yourself and your emotions, especially when food isn't the go-to answer anymore.
It's a huge reframe, isn't it? Moving beyond just calories and looking inward.
Totally. So today we're diving deep into semaglutide, but not just the drug itself. We're looking at a really interesting framework for understanding its potential from Dan Hollis. This isn't your standard drug discussion. It feels much more human.
Yeah, and for this deep dive, we looked at a few things, excerpts from his semaglutide manifesto, some personal reflections called What Dan Hollis Taught Me. And they show this perspective that's, well, it's way beyond just getting a prescription. It's holistic, very personal.
Right. So our mission here is to unpack Dan Hollis's core ideas, understand why he keeps calling semaglutide a tool that creates space,
Yeah.
and explore those big shifts in identity, in habits that he says are crucial for change that actually sticks. For you listening, hopefully this gives you a different lens on weight loss, one that's really about understanding, support, and, making it last. Okay, so let's get into it. Most people hear semaglutide and think, okay, magic pill. Right. Or at least just a medical thing, a drug journey.
Yeah.
How does Dan Hollis challenge that right off the bat?
Well, he hits it head on. His whole starting point is, this is not a drug journey, it's a human one. He basically says, look, semaglutide is a tool, a really powerful one, sure, but you only unlock that power if you get how it works. It changes how your brain processes hunger, satisfaction, reward, which, as he points out, can feel amazing, liberating, because that constant food noise quiets down. But it can also be kind of terrifying, because maybe that food noise was your coping mechanism, and suddenly it's gone.
That idea of space he mentions is really interesting. He says, semaglutide doesn't fix you. It gives you space to fix yourself. I love the analogy he uses, the good lumber.
Yeah.
Like, it gives you the materials, but you still have to build the house. You have to be ready to do the work.
Exactly. It's not passive.
So for someone who's felt totally controlled by food cravings, how does Hollis say they should even start using that space?
Yeah.
What's step one?
Yeah, that's key. Because he's very clear. Willpower was never the problem. I mean, think about it. How many times have people tried to just white-knuckle it? It rarely sticks long-term.
Yeah.
Because, he argues, your biology, your emotions, those ingrained habit loops, they're often stacked against you. So instead of more willpower, what you need is insight, structure, tools that meet your biology where it's at. It's about working with yourself, not just fighting against your own wiring.
Okay, and here's where I think it gets really, really interesting.
Yeah.
He insists this is emotional weight as much as it is physical weight. Why is that distinction so important, especially once the physical hunger cues quiet down thanks to the medication?
It's critical because we don't just eat when our stomachs rumble, do we? We eat because we're anxious or lonely or bored or overwhelmed, or maybe even because we lack support.
All those other reasons.
Exactly. Semaglutide might turn down the volume on the physical hunger, but it doesn't magically solve the underlying emotional reasons for eating. Which leads to a really big question. What happens when that physical drive fades? What's left?
And Hollis has this really profound line for that, right? When the cravings stop, the truth begins. What kind of truth is he talking about, and why might it be startling?
Yeah, that line hits hard. When the physical static goes away, as he puts it, what emerges can be.
Yeah, startling. Because for a lot of people, food wasn't just fuel. It was the plan. It was the rhythm. It was the escape hatch.
Their main coping strategy. Pretty much. So when that's suddenly less compelling, less available, it can leave you feeling really disoriented, adrift. There can even be a real sense of grief, losing that familiar, even if unhealthy, way of dealing with things. That void needs attention. And that directly connects to why he says, without support for the rest of it, most people relapse. It's why his whole approach is wrapped in community. He literally says most people don't fail because the medication doesn't work. They fail because they were alone.
That makes so much sense. When the physical cravings aren't masking things anymore, that emotional void feels bigger. And being alone with that sounds tough.
Exactly. Isolation is a huge risk factor then.
So he really doubles down on this support idea. Support isn't optional. It's neurobiological scaffolding. Okay, neurobiological scaffolding, what does that actually mean? It's not just cheerleading, right?
Not at all. He's talking about actual neurobiological replacement structures, things like rituals, new rhythms, new routines, basically the practical, concrete things that form a lattice that keeps people upright when the chemistry wobbles.
Can you unpack the neurobiological part a bit more? How does building new routines physically change things?
It's about actually rewiring the brain. When you consistently practice new behaviors, new ways of thinking, new routines, you're literally forging new neural pathways.
Ah,
You're strengthening new circuits that support this new way of being, this emerging identity. It's like consciously building a new internal framework, that lattice, that can hold you up even when the direct effect of the medication changes or eventually stops.
so it's like you're building the structures while you have the support of the medication's effect.
Precisely. Using that space productively.
Which really underlines his point that weight loss isn't just about rules. It's about relationship to food, to your body, and to the people guiding you. It's a conversation, not a prescription. Creating, as he says, a community that gets it.
That relationship piece is fundamental to his whole philosophy.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. People often want quick results, right? Lose weight fast. But Hollis warns against that. Fast weight loss without metabolic pacing is a trap.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain metabolic pacing and why rushing is risky?
Yeah, that's a really important counter-narrative he offers. Metabolic pacing just means losing weight at a rate your body can actually adapt to sustainably. If you lose too fast, your body can kind of freak out, think it's starving.
Right.
So your metabolism might slow way down, and you might lose more muscle mass, which is exactly what you don't want for long-term health and maintenance. Hollis focuses on the sustainable pacing, manage nutrition, habits, progress, so your body can keep up without fighting back so hard, building resilience.
Building resilience, I like that.
Yeah.
Which leads to another potentially tough truth he brings up. The real work begins after the medication. He's clear. Semaglutide is not forever. So if you don't have a plan for what comes next, those old patterns, those triggers, they can just creep back in.
Absolutely. The goal has to be building habits and structures that can live beyond the injections. The medication is the training wheels, maybe, but eventually you need to ride the bike yourself.
And this connects to that incredibly insightful quote. Your body changes faster than your identity. Wow. Think about that. Your physical self changes, maybe quite dramatically, but who you are, how you see yourself, that lags behind.
It's a huge psychological piece. The old self might be gone, the one who navigated the world differently, maybe used food differently. And people suddenly find themselves needing help figuring out how to be someone new. There's this gap.
And Hollis nails why bridging that gap is critical with this line. Weight loss is biology. Staying there is narrative. That just perfectly captures why rebound happens, doesn't it? People change the biology, lose the weight, but they never rewrite their story.
Exactly. The biological change happens, then maybe the medication stops, and there's this silence, this void where the old patterns used to be. Hollis's work is about preventing that silence from becoming a relapse.
How does he suggest filling that silence?
By actively filling the space semaglutide gives you with structure, community, identity, purpose, and time. It's a conscious construction project, and he totally reframes success. It's not just a number. The win condition is, this journey isn't about eating less, it's about living more.
Living more. That's powerful. Okay, but what about slip-ups? Setbacks happen. People feel ashamed. Hollis tackles that directly. No shame here, only process. And you are not broken. How does he help people see setbacks differently?
It's core to his approach, really taking the shame out of it. He says most people don't relapse into hunger, they relapse into confusion. He normalizes setbacks. They're predictable, not shameful. They're just signals.
Signals of what?
Signals that your body and brain are trying to figure things out, recalibrate. It's part of being human, adapting to major change. It's not about being lazy or failing. It really makes you reconsider past attempts, doesn't it? All that self-blame maybe wasn't necessary.
It really does. I love his analogy of the spiral staircase. Sometimes it feels like you're going in circles, covering old ground.
But you're still climbing. You're actually making progress upwards, even if it doesn't feel linear.
Yeah, totally different from thinking it has to be this perfect straight line upwards or it's a failure.
And he applies that to things like plateaus, too. A plateau isn't failure, he says. That's your body catching up, your metabolism asking for grace. A necessary pause.
Okay.
And if old cravings pop up, he reframes that too. It's memory, not weakness. Just old neural pathways firing, asking if they're still relevant. It gives you a chance to respond differently. The key takeaway is, setbacks don't mean the medication stopped working. Setbacks mean the story you were telling yourself still needs updating.
The story needs updating. Love that.
Yeah.
And instead of judgment during those moments, he encourages these empowering questions like, what am I feeling? What do I need? Who do I want to become? Shifting from blame to curiosity.
Exactly. Curiosity over judgment.
So wrapping this deep dive up, it's clear Dan Hollis offers this Really profound shift in thinking about weight loss with semaglutide. It's definitely not about a magic bullet. It's about using the medication to create that crucial space.
Mm.
Space for the deep personal work, the emotional recalibration, and building new habits, a new identity for the long haul after the initial changes.
Yeah, he positions himself less like an instructor and more like the kind of guide who doesn't walk ahead of you shouting advice. He walks beside you asking better questions.
Hmm.
Feels much more collaborative, more human-centered.
Definitely. So a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe chew on after this. Consider that line again. Weight loss is biology. Staying there is narrative. What narrative might you need to rewrite in your own life? Maybe it's related to food, maybe not. But what story needs updating for you to sustain the changes you truly want? What would it mean for you personally to reclaim your relationship to food, body, and self, and ultimately to live more?